Okay, so now we're ready to do the next step in things, and that is to actually start putting our photographs into the document. And we want to put them inside each letter. Now, here's the problem. All the letters right now are connected, right? If we go to the original layer where our letters are, and that's actually where we're going to put the pictures, because this back layer is just our three-dimensional shaded areas of the letters. We're going to actually need to take these letters, because if we put a picture in the E, there's a good chance it might actually overlap and go into the N, and then we're going to have to deal with that. So we don't want to deal with that. So what we're going to do is make it a lot easier if we just take all of these letters and put them on an individual layer each. So we need to cut them out and then copy them and paste them onto a new layer. But right now, we can't do anything with them because text layers are very unique in Photoshop in that they're limited in what you can do, because right now they're set up so that if I want to change any of the letters, I can highlight them, and if I type a new letter on the keyboard, like G, it's going to replace the letters with a G. I can't do that with these layers, right? These letters, they started off as letters, but now they're just shapes that happen to kind of resemble letters, because we took them and when we merged them, they became something different. So I can't highlight these letters with my typing tool, and if I was somehow able to highlight one of the letters, it's not attached to a letter on the keyboard anymore. So what we need to do is we need to do the same thing with this letter. We need to take it and we need to turn it into a layer that is really just pixels and arranged in such a way that they're in the shapes of letters, but they're not actual letters that are attached to the keyboard anymore. We can't merge them. We were able to do that with this layer because we had multiple letter layers and we just combined them and merged them together into one, but we're only going to do one here. So we have to do just this slightly different process. So that's under the layer menu, and we go down and we do what's called rasterize, and we're not going to get into what that means right now. We just want to do it. So you go to layer, and then you go to rasterize, and you go over here to type, and suddenly you see, instead of a little T over here in the layers panel, it's now just a little picture of the letters, because these are no longer letters. I can't highlight them with the typing tool, and they're not any longer attached to the actual keyboard. So you can't type or change them in any way. Now, we want to make sure that you look over here. I hid the background layer just because I can actually see better what's going on. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the lasso tool. I can use probably this polygon lasso tool, which is actually pretty convenient because it makes good straight lines. Now, I didn't do myself any favors with the font I chose because there's not very much space between each letter. But that's why I have the background hidden. So I have these shadow areas of the letters hidden so that I can really get in here and see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and this actually just clicks, and each time I click, it makes a new corner, and when I go back, it connects the shape and turns it into a selection. So what I want to do is I want to go here. Now, just to make sure you know, you see the white in the background, but if it's not on the same layer, we don't have to worry about it, and we're going to hide it just so you can really see that there's nothing behind here. So I can actually select outside of the letter, and it will still be okay because it's only going to include the pixels that are inside, and those are in the shape of the letter. So I can just kind of click here and make sure I get this space in between the N and the E, but then out here it doesn't really matter what I do because it's just empty space. Okay, so as long as that letter's included, the empty space doesn't matter. And all I'm going to do here, I'm going to click Command X to cut that letter out. So now it's saved on my clipboard. It's not erased forever, but now I have to paste it. But if I just paste it anywhere, it's going to be somewhere on my document, and I'm going to have to move it back into the position where it was right next to the N. But if I go to Edit and Paste Special, I can do what's called pasting in place. And when I do that, it just plops it right down where it was. But if I look over here on my layers panel now, it's by itself on its own layer. Okay, and I'm going to do that with each other layer. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do the N. Okay, now when it comes to pasting, there's also a keyboard shortcut. It will save you some time. So I click here. I click across. I go back to my beginning. I close off my shape. Now I go Command X. And if I go to Edit, paste special and paste in place, you can see there's a keyboard shortcut here. The arrow means shift, the clover means command, and the V means the letter V. So if I just go command and shift and V, it pastes it right where it was. Now, the other thing you need to remember is every time when you go to cut your letters out, remember that now you just made a new layer with only an N on it, and that's the layer that's highlighted because Photoshop automatically just makes whatever new layer you make the active layer. So you just always have to remember to go back and touch the original layer and make sure it's blue, because that's where the letters are. Okay, and we're just going to go down the line. So I'm going to do the I here, and if you miss, you can always start again. You just hit escape. So I'm going to do the I here, Command X, Command Shift V, and so on. Now I go back to the original layer that had my letters on it. I'm going to do the first O, and I can be as careless as I want outside of my letters because that's all empty space. There, Command X, Command Shift V, and so on.